Not even a few weeks old, and I'm covering what many would consider to be the most controversial film in years. Before we get started, this movie is not what you think it is. Now I know this may come off as spoilers, but this needs to be known before you see A24's Civil War. This movie is not about picking sides, and the biggest revelation of all, we never find out why the war started in the first place. Yes, the movie hints to it with one line of dialogue, but the audience never uncovers why America fell apart. To most of you, I know that's going to be disappointing, but let me tell you, I'm glad the movie doesn't get lost in the details. What many are calling film clickbait, I think it's the best cause of action because, do we really need to give people ideas on how to start a real civil war? Exactly. But on this episode of Atomic Vision, we'll uncover the actual reason A24's Civil War exists. Hi, I'm your host Rob, and today's special guest is John Cena. Is that just Peacemaker's helmet? Wait. Oh wow, did we get John Cena? But I guess the rumors are true. We really can't see him. Civil War is an extremely dark and bleak film that puts you in the middle of the action in what is A24's biggest film in the studio's history. After winning its second Best Picture win, A24 is now fully entering into the mainstream world of filmmaking, and Civil War is one of the first projects the studio is gambling on. Craziness. A24 is fully crazy for betting all of their money on a film this twisted. But hey, that's A24 for you. They live on the edge of crazy. So if we never discover why the war started, and the movie isn't about picking sides, then what is Civil War really about? Well, the film is about the exact thing I'm doing right now. It's about journalism. Now don't click off the video. This movie does have a ton of action set pieces that put you right on the front line of absolute chaos. But connecting a film with such a sensitive subject matter to journalism just makes too much sense to pass up on. So why did director Alex Garland do all of this? Why journalists? Why not make a movie about a hero doing hero shit? Well, this movie isn't glorifying war. It's condemning it. I don't know if you know this, but real war, it's not fun. And with how crazy our world's gotten in the last few years, I don't think we need a Captain America type hero for a story like this. But I know you're probably thinking that making a movie about journalists sounds boring. Well, no, it's actually not, because these aren't just regular journalists. This is a movie about war journalists that are putting their lives on the line to capture and report everything that's happening in a war. People forget this, but without journalists, we wouldn't have any insight into anything going on in the world, especially with something as destructive as war. So these journalists are there on the ground, photographing every bullet shot, every kill counted, and every victory or defeat taken. And from the way Alex Garland directs this film, you really feel like you are there. Especially the third act, which gives you exactly what you've been waiting for this whole time. Despite being the most insane topic to cover in an action-packed blockbuster, this unironically is also the most mainstream film Alex Garland has ever made. Like, look beyond the political sensitivity. At the end of the day, this is a film filled with action-packed sequences that have truly suspenseful scenes that will choke you up. But what's even more ironic is that this is also Alex Garland's funniest film to date. In between all of this American chaos, there's a ton of funny scenes that highlight how crazy all of this is.
Let me know if you want to try anything on.
Are you guys aware there's like a pretty huge civil war going on all across America?
We just try to stay out.
So if you're afraid of this being boring, trust me, it is not. This movie will make you jump with how intense it gets, and by the halfway point, this movie takes no breaks, so you're stuck in this war to the very end. Even at an hour and 49 minutes, this feels long because of how intense it gets. And I can see how this may seem like a negative, but for me, that only showcases how brutal the film gets. I love how the film gets emotionally invested in these characters because they are the most likable characters Alex Garland has ever written. Because they are journalists not participating in the war, it immediately makes them easier to connect with because they understand the stakes, but aren't contributing to the chaos. They are just chronicling it. And since we, the audience, are new to all of this insanity, we live vicariously through the youngest character in the film, played by Cailee Spaeny. She's a novice photographer who is inspired by Kirsten Dunst's character, and she joins this ragtag team of journalists as they track across America, trying to get to DC, where all the craziness is happening. And the relationship dynamic between Cailee and Kirsten reminds me a lot of Alan Grant and the kids from Jurassic Park. Kirsten's character is very opposed to Cailee joining the team, but over the course of the film, her character slowly changes her ways, for better or worse. Wagner Moura and Stephen McKinley Henderson play the other two journalists, and they are both charming and hilarious. They get some of the funniest and most intense scenes in the film, and the way Civil War balances humor and suspense is pretty remarkable. Nick Offerman plays the president, and this is going to come off as a massive disappointment for most of you, but he's really not in the film. The president begins the film with his speech, but he is not really a character in this film by design. The only reason I don't find this annoying is the same reason I am perfectly fine with this film for not creating reasons why the war started. We don't need people watching this film going, "He's right." The character is explicitly evil, and it makes sense the movie never gives the character a platform to spout his evil nonsense to the audience. With media literacy becoming a hot new term being thrown around in posts or videos these days, people need to understand that just because you like an actor's performance doesn't mean their character is faultless. Homelander was always evil and was meant to be a cautionary tale for radicalized insanity, but because Anthony Starr is such a charming actor, some people are watching The Boys thinking Homelander did nothing wrong. It's the Thanos thing all over again. So that's why Civil War doesn't really elaborate on these topics. We don't need people leaving this movie wanting a real Civil War. A24 took a really big gamble making this movie, and I really admire how bold this film gets with its grand ideas. The Jesse Plemons scene is going to haunt me for years, and it really demonstrates how weird America has gotten, but hey, his glasses were pretty cool.
What? Well, you're American, okay?
Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
Within context, I fully recommend Civil War, but you have to understand, even with all of this info, this movie is really hard to watch. If you can handle traumatic imagery like that of real-life war photos, or even fictitious imagery like from The Last of Us, then you can handle this movie. Civil War is audacious, satisfying, and filled with all of the action that people are craving right now. But what matters most is that the film celebrates those who put themselves on the line to report back to the people. Journalists have taken a pretty big hit these last few years, and this movie puts some respect on those who truly deserve it. War photography is no joke. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this episode of Atomic Vision, leave a like, subscribe for more, and I'll see you next time. Wait, where did the helmet go? Was John Cena even really here? I knew we got stood up.
Are you sure about that?